Hi everyone, my name is Cole Hamus, and like yourself, I'm a diehard Husker football fan. I want to talk to you today about what being a true Husker fan is all about. Right now, many people are questioning what the future of Husker football should be. I know many fans think that they have all the right answers, but they don't know exactly what's going on behind the closed doors. I'm sure Husker or Coach Riley doesn't want to be known as that losing football coach in Nebraska football history, and he just needs to find that right combination that works for us to begin winning again. Maybe getting rid of Coach Riley is the answer, but maybe it's not. Today, I'd like to share with you a history of Nebraska's winning traditions, their downfalls, and what the future may look like for Nebraska football. Husker football has such a long winning tradition that many people, young and old, have forgotten that Nebraska has had its losing seasons in the past. It just happens to be so long ago that people were not even born when Nebraska had their last losing streak that actually happened. Remember the saying, history repeats itself, and maybe that's what's happening right now to our football team. According to Huskers.com, the tradition of Husker football began in 1890 when they played their very first season here in Lincoln, Nebraska. During the following years, the team struggled to get going and even had a tough time finding people to play them. It got better between 1900 and 1905 when we already started to have our winning seasons. There was a downfall right afterward. There's a downward spiral right afterwards until 1911 through 1915 when Coach Edwald Steinem took over the reins. It is just a normal for football teams to go through their ups and down times. We've gone through losing seasons in the past, and no one seems to want to think about the history of Nebraska football. Everybody wants to focus on here and now. A few people look at our history and realize that from 1941 to 1950, the Husker football program had 6 coaches in 8 years. That's just crazy. We have more consistency than that right now with our current head football coaches. Husker football has got extremely lucky when they hired Coach Bob Devaney. When Coach Bob Devaney was hired in 1962. Again, according to HuskerFootball.com, Coach Devaney was lucky because the coach before him, Bill Jennings, was a great recruiter, and Devaney inherited a lot of talented players, and with these talented players too, began a winning tradition here at Nebraska. However, that streak too hit rock bottom as the team struggled in 1967 and 1968, with back-to-back 6-win seasons. Even back then, when the Huskers were not winning, the fan base wanted Devaney replaced. However, the athletic director must have seen something in Devaney and allowed him to stay and to continue. But Devaney was open to suggestions from his assistant coaches to restructure the offense. That assistant coach was the famous Tom Osborne, which is right here. Under this new offense, the Huskers began to win again, and the fans couldn't have been happier. What would we have done if Devaney had got fired back then? Would the Huskers have won their back-to-back national championships in 1970 and 1971? Maybe, but maybe not. After Devaney was fired. After Devaney coached his last season in 1972, he took over as the athletic director position, and then hired assistant coach Tom Osborne to take control of the reins of the Husker football program, and hence started a 25-year-long streak of winning seasons. That's just crazy. 25 years of winning seasons. Nebraska happened to have something big in Coach Osborne that not many other football coaches can even fathom. Husker fans were fortunate to get Coach Osborne, who knew how to relate to his players and get the most out of them and his staff. He is a very kind and humble person who gained the respect not only his players but his assistant coaches and other coaches from all across the country. The only football program that I can think of that could possibly relate to what Coach Osborne had here at Nebraska is Florida State with Coach Bobby Bowden. He too had that same kind of respect between his football team and other coaches across the country. uh, think about have to follow Coach Osborne as the Nebraska head coach. Can you imagine what a daunting task that would be? The next coach that took over after Coach Tom Osborne won his national championship in 1977 was Frank Solich. Can you imagine what a daunting task this would have been? Coach Solich had big shoes to fill, and he really didn't do that bad of a job. But for some reason, his winning season were just enough for the people in Nebraska. So after Coach Frank Solich came Coach Bill Callahan. We did not have a great season under him, so he was quickly replaced by Coach Bo Pelini, who was recently replaced by Coach Mike Riley. He had his winning seasons, but he had a persona that didn't please the people, so he was quickly fired, and currently we have Coach Mike Riley, who we are under today. Coach Riley is a nice guy, but he has to figure out some winning combination. I'm not sure if that combination includes firing him and trying to hire someone else, or if that means someone else helps Coach Riley figure out what his winning combination is here at Nebraska. We do need to figure it out quickly, though, as we are losing promising program recruits. Because of Coach Osborne, though, I believe personally that the Husker fans have gotten greedy. Now, everyone believes that we must continue those traditions, but I believe we will. But we need to be patient and stop being such ugly and ungrateful fans. I'm not sure we will ever have another legacy like we did under Coach Tom Osborne. Nebraska was lucky to have him and lucky to enjoy his success. If we expect that out of every coach, we might be disappointed because of those 25 years that were seriously wonderful years. As Husker fans, we have to remember that these players don't want to lose, nor do they want to be remembered as a Nebraska losing team. They want to win just as much as any other team in the United States. Someone just needs to find that right combination to where we can win again. We need to support the team and their coaches, and above all, we need to stay at the games until until the clock hits zero. The attendance at the football games this year have been considerably lower as compared to usual, especially the Ohio State game during the Ohio State game this year. Can you imagine what the team thought when they looked up into the stands after halftime, when they returned to the field after halftime and saw that many empty seats? That does not and should not happen at Memorial Stadium. We need to support the team and let them know that we still believe in them and will eventually get everything figured out. We have to stop being such hostile fans and stop thinking that as fans we know it all and we know how to fix things. Most of us are not coaches, and we don't even know what will work with the talent that we have here at Nebraska. We have a lot of things to be proud about, and we need to remember that. As we have had a winning tradition here at Nebraska, and I believe that we will be there again soon. We are considered the greatest fans in college football, and we need to continue that tradition. We need to be patient and be the great fans we have always been since the beginning of Husker football. Thanks for listening.